Okay, guys, welcome along. I hope you all had a good run on the weekend. It was good to get out there and beautiful weather for it. And if it was anything like the game that I did, I'm sure there was a little bit of niggle in it. The players seemed like they had some build-up testosterone. So I'm sure there's a good taste of what's to come this week. All right, just to acknowledge some milestones for this week. Mitchell Williams is doing his 50th game in the goals. Got a couple of field umpires doing milestones. Marty Dort, give him a pat in the back, Simo. He's doing his 100th game.
That's it.
Best as a field umpire, best proper game as a field umpire. But well done, Marty, for that milestone. And Simo, you can tell your brother congratulations next time you see him. He's doing his 400. So well done to Greg Simons doing his 400. Okay, we had a few issues with the app last week, as you're aware. So we didn't really need the information last week. We had one red card. That was the only important bit of information. But we really just wanted everyone using the app last week to get ready for this week. If you didn't get it working, you really need you to test it out before this weekend because we need everyone's app up and running. So some of the things that guys had to do to get it working, sent out the email about it, uninstalling and reinstalling. Just try that to start with. You can reset your password by clicking on forget password. That sometimes helps you get in. Those of you with Android phones, there's a link that I'll send out in the coaching notes that may help. And you can also clear the local data in the app once you get in. So I'll put that in the coaching notes when I send out. But I guess if you continue to have problems, get in touch with Peter Angel. I want you to test it before the weekend and just make sure it's up and running. All right, best players, even though it's a shortened season, there will be best and fairest awards presented for all grades. So we need to start making sure that you're discussing that during the game, and then obviously after the game, make sure we get it right. That's why we're sitting with the other umpire and doing it together. Team sheets, some questions about team sheets. We didn't really need team sheets for the trial games on the weekend, but we will for this week. So make sure the clubs provide you with team sheets before the game. You need them for the best players to double check that the information's right. You also need it if you've got yellow and red cards. Once your app information's entered, there's no need for those sheets, so you can discard them after that. But before the game, make sure the clubs hand them to you. For those of you doing Sanford W, I did say that we're going to get you rostered in on Sunday. Numbers dictate that we're going to have to get some of you to do some Saturday games. I'll rotate it so that that you're going to have goes at doing Saturdays every so often, so it doesn't interrupt your Adelaide footy commitments. All right, they're all the notes I had to make. Before we get onto the coaching video, does anyone want to unmute themselves and ask any questions from the weekend? All right. Seems like we had a fairly successful
one comment. We had I uploaded Steve Pringle on Saturday, and there was a guy that a ruckman that took the ball out of the ruck contest and didn't dispose of it correctly straight away. So and he was tackled by the other opposing ruckman. So I paid holding the ball, and he said the rule changed last year. You've got to be tackled by a second player. And then he came up to us in the break and argued with Steve and me about it. So just wanted to clarify, has there been any change to the fact that one, you're allowed to take it out of the ruck at a boundary throw in or around the ground, and secondly, once they've done that, they need to dispose of, they've foregone any prior opportunity, and if they're tackled, they're holding the ball straight away.
Okay, so at the beginning of last year when AFL made all those changes, one of the changes was that taking the ball out of the ruck was no longer considered a prior opportunity. So we adopted that change. So last year you should have been allowing a ruckman to take it out of the ruck. It doesn't mean that it won't ever be holding the ball, but the way it used to be was you took it out of the ruck, that was your prior opportunity. If you were immediately tackled, handball or kick, it would be a free kick. These days, is treated just like it is all around the ground. So if they take it out of the ruck, there's no prior opportunity. The ball's held in. It's a ball up. But if they take it out of the ruck and you give them a prior opportunity, you think they can have a little kick, and then they don't, then that's holding the ball. All right, so there has been a change. It doesn't mean it won't ever be holding the ball, but it's going to be it used to be. Anyone else got a question for the weekend?
Yeah, Colin. When a player kicks from full-back after a point,
yep,
and the ball rolls out of bounds without being touched, and they haven't played on from the goal square, is that a free kick or a boundary throw-in?
Okay, another thing that we went through last year, but it's probably good for all you guys to get reminders of these. There's never a free kick now, so it's always a throw-in.
Yep, I got it right, Joel.
Well done. Anyone else?
Dennis had that in our C grade game as well.
Did you get it right?
Situation. No, he got it wrong.
Oh, jeez! Come on, guys.
Yeah.
I know we've got a bit rusty with the lockdown, but yeah, just remind yourselves of the changes from last year. That wasn't
I had the same in the C grade game, and I called it as a boundary throw-in, and I had half the team on both sides arguing with me that it should have been a free kick.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's where you just have to be definite of the knowledge of the rules. We can just say we write that off as a trial game mistake, but yeah, from this week on, we'll make sure we're up to speed on those things. All right.
Got a ticket for that bus there that he threw you under, Dennis?
Yeah.
I had a good one, Colin.
Yeah, Rob?
So a player was taking a kick from beyond the boundary line, and the ball happened to be smothered, but the ball never came into play. So it was a real schmozzle. He grabbed the ball from out of bounds and then kicked the goal, and I had to call it back. Now I'm just reading the rule now. It should have been a ball in. Give it to the boundary umpire. Boundary didn't make any calls, so I gave him his kick again.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with you resetting it. It's such a blue mooner. Let's not get too worried if we don't get that one right. Technically, so he got smothered, even though the player on the mark hadn't come over the mark.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
yeah.
Technically, it's a throw-in from that spot, but mate, it's rarely going to happen. And if you reset it, it's no big deal. But technically, that's
there you go, Matt Harris, 50-50.
It is well. You're right that it should have been a throw-in, but it's not one that I would be losing too much sleep over. It's like the one where he kicks it from out of bounds and it doesn't come back into play. And that should be a throw-in from the mark.
Yeah. The only difference is if he kicks it into the back of back of the goalpost, then he has his kick again because it can't be a point.
Okay, that's what the rule book says, is it?
Yeah, it's a blue mooner.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Oh well, I'm glad you've done your research and educated us all today. All right, there's no more, is there? Jeez, it's amazing what you can learn in one round of footy, hey? Okay, let's get on to having a look at the video. So if you've got a pen and paper, the first 5 decisions are what's your decisions. Once you play them twice, you should get 2 looks at things. But because sometimes the internet with these Zoom meetings freezes up, so I just want to make sure you get to see it properly. There's a couple of really interesting ones here. So let me just get this up. Okay, give me a Joel, Jason, just give me a thumbs up if you can see that. Beautiful. All right, get ready to go, guys. Let's see who can get 5 out of 5. All right, play that one again. All right, write down. There's 2 parts to that one. Okay, ready for the next one? Okay, let's have another look at that one. Okay, we'll roll straight into example 3. Again, there's two parts to this one. Okay, write down your answer for that one. Okay, this one's nice and easy. Should be anyway. Again. Now roll straight into 5. Last one. All right. So hopefully you got all 5 answers for those. We'll go through again. I'll see if I can pick out someone. Scroll down and see who's online and get you to answer. So the first one. All right. Ian Gore. Unmute yourself and have a go at that one. You got to unmute yourself, mate. Can't hear you.
Mute. Got me?
Yeah, now. Yep, far away, mate.
You could have 2. I only got 1 decision out of that. I couldn't get the 2 decisions.
All right, give us the one you got.
The guy in yellow, I reckon he's gone to ground with the ball in his hand. I think it's holding the ball. That one.
Well, the decision's right. It's holding the ball, but he didn't go to ground. He was on the ground.
Okay.
Chose to take possession. Should have hit it clear. Because he chose to take possession, the ball's held in. It's holding the ball. So you got the holding the ball right. You give yourself a tick for that.
Okay.
Jerry Smith, you want to unmute yourself?
Hey, Cole.
What was the other decision I was looking for?
I can't see anything on my computer, mate. I'm
Okay.
trying to look at it on the phone. So
All good, mate. All good. Later on, you can have a look at it. Barry? Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, mate.
That work?
That's it.
I reckon the first bit there was holding the man before he went to ground.
So you guys can go back and have a look at the video. I don't know what your video quality is like, but there's a high tackle there as he kicks it, or just after he kicks it. You can either pay it at the spot or down the field. But the umpire where he was couldn't see it. But there's a high tackle. So looking for high tackle and then holding the ball. They're the 2 decisions. All right, Marty Dawn, unmute yourself, mate.
Yeah.
No, it's a ball up, mate. No prior opportunity. Literally got it and got wrapped up. So ball up.
Perfect. Just like you did in the last 3 quarters on Saturday. Not so much the first. You're a quick learner. You're a quick learner. So yes, no prior opportunity, legal tackle, ball up. So the answer to that one's ball up. All right, two parts to this one. Matt Smith, want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, Kyle, I would have said both players were holding at the first part. So from my angle, and the screen's very, very blurry. So both holding, play on. And then the second part, I thought no prior opportunity, ball up.
Mate, I've always rated you a decision maker. Correct and correct. So both players holding, and the second one, no prior, and he lands to his side. He doesn't land his back. All right. All right, bit of pressure on for this next one, because if you get this wrong, you're not umpiring this week. Blake, unmute yourself.
Yep. It's can you hear me, Cole?
Yeah, mate. All clear.
Yep. It's pretty like chuggy with the video, but from what I can make out, the North players kicked the ball. It's gone through, bounced in the square. I'm trying to bring it back so I can see it. I can't really see the video too well, mate. When you played it through before the examples, it was fine, but then it just didn't. I think I've missed something in the goal square there.
Okay. The internet's going to be your saving grace here when you don't really know the answer, but I'll take your word that you can't see it. Jason Mounts.
Yes. You'll have to drop me this week because I don't know the answer.
Okay. Oh, guys, jeez. Okay,
your video shows about one frame every 5 seconds.
Okay, fair enough. That's what I thought might happen. You guys can, I'll give you the link for the actual video later on that you can check out. So all we're looking for here is
point.
There's no deliberate rush in Adelaide Footy League. So he picks it up and takes it through quite deliberately. At an AFL or sample level, you might think about paying it, but we just pay the all clear. All right.
He was under pressure too, Baz. And Colin. He was under pressure.
A little bit, but it doesn't matter whether he's under pressure or not. We don't pay it.
Yeah, still a point. Yeah.
Mrs. Holmes.
What do you reckon the umpire said, Mike Raymond? Mike, you want to unmute yourself? Must have gone to the toilet or something. Justin House? Jeez, everyone's gone to sleep.
Sorry, Cole. I'm on my phone. My internet's really bad, unfortunately.
No worries, mate. All right. Frankie, want to clean this up for us?
Yeah, breaks the first tackle, doesn't break the second one, so that's his prior from the first one, so holding the ball.
Yeah, so prior opportunity, has he had a chance to handle or kick? Yes, he has. Tackled fairly, doesn't handle or kick, holding the ball. All right. So, did anyone manage to get 5 out of 5?
Yeah, I got 5 out of 5, but one I couldn't tell. The first one, I thought it was too high. I put too high with a question mark because I couldn't see it too well on the screen, but I said holding the ball.
Oh, Falsey, you're a legend. You're a legend. All right.
I'm taking 4.5, Cole. I didn't see that high.
Yeah, the quality's not too flash.
No, I hear you. I hear you. You can watch it later on with the link. All right, so let's roll this. So the most important part of a game is keeping control. ensuring player safety. There's some good umpiring on some of these examples. We'll roll with the first one, goes for a little bit, featuring Darcy Fogarty. So obviously we don't do 50-metre penalties. We just do 25s. Okay, Matt Raymond, do you want to undo your mute? Yep.
How are you, mate? I missed the
good,
start. My internet's shocking, so.
I do believe you guys. I do believe you're all having internet problems. But did anyone see it? Anyone want to give their?
Yeah, Cole, I can go.
Yeah, who's that?
Chris Peters.
Go, Chris.
Hey, so initially the player took the mark and the opposition came in late. So the 50 in this case would be 25 in our league was done. The umpire did really well by going in and actually talk to the player and breaking up any further repercussions and taking down all the way.
Yeah, very true. So in our footy, would you be issuing a card?
Definitely.
Yep. Yellow or red?
At least a yellow. Be probably pending red.
Yeah. So it is. I wouldn't be upset if you did a red, but I wouldn't be upset if you did a yellow either in this one. There's an intention to hit, and so you really can't hide, and say that he was trying to spoil or anything like that. He doesn't collect him that hard. I mean, could have really knocked him out. If you really knocked him out, it'd have to be a red. If you did choose that it had to be a red, we'd back you in. But I'd be quite comfortable with the yellow in that one.
Just with that, Cole.
Yep.
A la the Zach Merritt one. Obviously, there's not a lot of force in it, but he gets him in the spot. What are you probably looking for there? You happy with the yellow there, just because there's no force?
Yeah. I mean, we are looking at the action, not the result. So he did cop a penalty because the player was injured, and that's just the way AdFL roll. But we can't do that. We haven't got the medical reports, etc., etc. So you've got to go on the action, and if it's a serious, severe action, it's a red card. If it's one of those ones where you're not sure whether it's that severe, but you need to do something to control the game, then use a yellow. We just need to. We'd at the very least want a free kick paid. If we don't pay free kicks for that, then we start getting retaliations. And issuing a card is a strong message that we're taking control when things happening that they're not playing the footy. So I think a yellow would have been a good result there. But if you can see the intent to hurt and he really collects him properly, then go a red. Does that make sense? Oh, this one's an interesting one too. Okay, Ben Williams, can you add to that one?
Colin, I'm actually driving home at the moment. So
no, all good, mate. All good.
I'm not actually watching it. I'm just listening.
That's fine, mate. The beauty of Zoom meetings. Anyone want to have a go at it? It's not like having you in a room where I can really put you on the spot. Everyone's got excuses with the way this is set up. which I believe you guys. I do believe you.
Colin, it looked like he got collected high.
Yep.
But the Zoom picture wasn't too clear. But it did
Yeah,
look
go
like
back
there was a bit
and
of
have
high
a look at it
contact.
later. So I'll give you a bit of a rundown. Mitch Grigg is trying to collect the ball. He fumbles it. The Glenelg player comes front on. I don't think there was really much intent to do a high contact, but he does at the end sort of brace for a somewhat of a bump. It needed to be a free kick because there was definite eye contact. If you on the day feel like a card's warranted, I would have been comfortable with a yellow, but at least a free kick in that situation. The reason why the umpire pulls a notepad out at SANFL level, they don't tend to report too much at the time. They do what's called investigations because they've got video in all their games. So he actually takes his details for the investigation that happened after that. So I did a bit of research today when I was looking at it. So yeah, the SANFL have a slightly different system, but we can't rely on that. But in that case there, we would want a free kick paid. And if you choose to do a card, then yellow would be the most to do, especially in that situation. But just be aware, head over the ball. If you see a guy come in and do a hip and shoulder to the head and a really severe one, that's where you can pull a red. But yeah, it's a really interesting one you can have a look at later on. Let's keep rolling. We're getting towards our 30 minutes, so I don't want to drag on. Maybe I'll just roll through it and let you know. So late bump, he's kicked it. So it's a FAD. If we make sure you got eyes on the last act of play this week, really important that we get those free kicks. Similarly here, there's a very clumsy late high tackle. We need to get those. If you don't pay those free kicks and you want to chat with the offender, that's where the day turns nasty. If you're not keeping control of a game. This one here, really good example of just having a presence. There's a potential for stuff to escalate. The umpire's right there communicating, just making players aware that he's there. That's all that's required. So there's not always a free kick needed. You need to be there though. You need to make sure you get to those situations. This is quite a bit that happens in this one. So initially there's a marking contest. There's a free kick. He doesn't complete the mark. It's a clumsy attempt. Good free kick. And the ball gets kicked down. Player not in the marking contest make unnecessary contact. And then it's in, so a good 25. Tom Bryce is in there. He's an outstanding young umpire. Did the grand final last year. He takes control. The other umpire comes in and helps out, just makes a bit of presence, so you can work as a team. That's part of the video to show that the umpires are working together. The 25 is paid. When you give it all clear, make sure you keep an eye on the players afterwards, because this can happen. The push and shove afterwards. Tom sees something that happens there that's worthy of a free kick. He blows a whistle to indicate that there's going to be a free kick in the middle. They've got 3 umpires at this level, obviously. So 2 of them are in there trying to separate the players. Andrew Crosby's in there with Tom. And because he's paid the free kick and indicated that there's going to be a free kick in the middle, they're all rushing back to make sure that they're back for when the free kick is paid. So using your communication, using free kick where necessary is how you keep control. And a good example of how it could have really got nasty if they didn't do those things. They expect the unexpected. Okay, here's a dangerous tackle. I reckon that's one that you probably want to do a yellow card for. You can see that it upsets the players. He pays a 25 here. The justification for that would be you saw something after the act to pay it. But I reckon if you're paying a yellow, you're getting rid of the offender there, and that sorts out the problem in our footy. That wouldn't need upgrading. That's yellow at most. But as we've talked about before, if you think it's a bad, dangerous tackle, we can upgrade it during the week to a red. So I'll just stop there. It said no trigger players. Shane Harris is big on preparing before a game, knowing who you are dealing with. And if you've got players you know have a tendency to fire up, you're just aware of them. Doesn't mean that you go looking for free kicks to pay against them or pick on them in any way, shape or form, but you do know that there's certain players that have the potential to fire up, which means you may need to communicate more with them. You may need to keep an eye on them a little closer to see that they don't do anything silly. In this case here, that's Billy Frampton. An FAD's paid, advantage paid. Ball comes back. I think he's involved again. Oh, yeah, it was mainly the FAD. So if you're just aware that players are likely to infringe, you've got to keep your eye on it. Okay, so being strong. This one here is a bit of niggle, and you'd be wanting to communicate. And if you see in this situation, there's a bit of niggle, and one of the players grabs the Guernsey of a player and pulls him out of the pack, you can pay a free kick for holding the man. That's what he does here. See, Richard Douglas has got the Port players but Guernsey. And sometimes that's just a way of taking control in those situations where there's a bit of niggle. It's a good weapon to have. So the message from Shane here is be strong, be assertive, take no shit, and you will have control. All right. That's it for the video. We've got to wind up because I've got to the 30 minutes, but is there any urgent comments or questions before we go? All right, guys, been fun. Vic, you're looking a treat there.
I'm at the piano.
Oh, nice. Very good. All right, guys, good to be underway. Well done for the efforts on the weekend. Real stuff starts this week. We want you at the top of your game. Go out there, run hard, pay the first free, and enjoy your beer at the end of the day.
Let's go.
Go the power. Go the power. Top of the ladder.
All right, it's time to end the call now.
All the best for Saturday.